are certain difficult situations that we encounter in life that might seem unexplainable. More so, when we manage to scale through these difficult situations. One of such situations was the one that Reverend Godspower Anaso of Godspower World Outreach Ministries found himself in on the 2nd of September 2022, on his way to a program at Ohofia. It is only a stranger that would claim to be ignorant of the current security challenges presently ravaging the country, one of which is the involvement of herdsmen in rampant killing and kidnapping of innocent citizens. The activities of these herdsmen have become a threat to national security, as every day reports abound in the media of killings and kidnap of innocent citizens on different routes and roads. This story would have been different for Reverend Godspower Anaso of Godspower World Outreach Ministries if not for God's intervention. Because it is not every day that one stares death in the face and comes back to tell the story. Reverend Godspower can be said to be the exception in this case, because he not only stared death in the face, he survived and he had the opportunity to tell his story.
We're on our way to Ohofia. Reverend Dr. Uma Opai happens to be my spiritual father and this great servant of God here, Reverend Chris. 4 of us came together and said, let us go in his car. And that was September 2nd, groundbreaking ceremony, because he's trying to build a 120,000 capacity auditorium, mobile prayer city. So on our way, we got to, after Umunze, we got to Soch and all the rest of them. Then we applied through the road they call Ihube, heading to Isukwato. After that, a little place there was this erosion there. And once we crossed that place, right at the center of that Ihube Isukwato road, we had a noise at our back. Something that sounded like, hey! So all of us decided to look back and see who is actually trying to give us either anything, a sign or signal, whatever. By the time, just in a twinkling of an eye, just, hey, this way, by the time we brought back our face, we didn't know that actually, once we came in, we saw somebody at the back give a sign to those who were staying, who were actually ambushed before us. As when they had that hey, we looked back, turning back, we saw men with their AK-47 standing before us. And this one was at the back, so we were somehow sandwiched. And so we have to stop because they stopped us. But we thought that, in my own mind personally, I was thinking maybe uniformed people trying to do their work. But the way I saw one of them approaching ferociously with his AK-47 in his hand, as I was still thinking, I saw that he actually called the gun, chakam, right before me. As I was still thinking, the bullets started, raining. And so that was when we knew that we were face to face with herdsmen killers. Then all of us in the car started declaring God's help over our head. Started declaring God's help over our head. For me in particular, God gave me an instruction some years ago. He said to me, the security of your nation has been compromised. And so, on account of that, supernatural help is what you need, in as much as you do that which is natural. The servant of God was also declaring, he was sitting at the, because he was the one driving. 2 other men at the back were also shouting. I had them shouting, Jesus, Jesus. But I was declaring, he had me shouting, Godspower, I'm the chosen. Godspower, I'm the chosen, because that was what God said to me some years ago. But something more than man happened. We saw it all. We saw bullets raining on our vehicle. When they saw that it was not working, they started raining. They turned consciously up against the tire and started raining bullets. But something more than man showed up. It didn't touch us. It didn't touch the folks. All of a sudden, the man of God who was driving zoomed up and they watched us and couldn't do anything more than that.
It is often said that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Well, In the case of this incident involving Reverend Godspower Anaso, we could say that the man behind the wheels on that day, to a large extent, determined the course of the events that unfolded on that day. We caught up with Reverend Chris Okeke, the man behind the wheel on the day of the attack, to get his own account and narrative of what happened on that fateful morning of 2nd of September 2022 and how he felt when he came face to face with armed herdsmen.
Well, actually, that was not the first time I have had an encounter with the government. That should be the top time. The first time was in the year 2014. It was also a face-to-face encounter. So this one, it wasn't a different one altogether. So when I saw the young man with the gun, I was not shaken. I remember a particular scripture that says, "Touch not my anointed, and do my prophet no harm." So when the guy jumped out from the bush with his gun, I stopped. He started shooting. Then I was asking myself, "Why are you shooting us? You want to kidnap us? Just come. Stop shooting." And he was shooting. I said, "Stop shooting." I raised my hand on him so that he will see my hand and I don't have any weapon. So when I was asking him to come, he kept on coming. At a certain point, it's like he knew what I was about to do. He jumped by the side of the car. I started shooting the tire. And then the front of my car was free. I decided to zoom off.
One thing is certain from the account of the incident as given by Reverend Godspower Anaso and Reverend Chris Okeke, the handling of this incident by the security personnel on patrol duty was not satisfactory. They stated that a lot needs to be done to avert occurrences of such incidents in the future. And this can only be achieved, according to them, with the help of a responsive and responsible security system.
What happened to me? Let me give my own personal experience. Actually, my mind was blank because I wasn't thinking of such an encounter. But when I saw it, I told myself, it is said that you save yourself by the help God has given you, trusting in His grace, or you are gone. So either you respond and live, or you don't respond and die. So even if so to say that you respond and nothing happens, it is good to do something that does not work, than to do nothing. So I chose to. But one thing strange happened to me personally. I didn't know how it came because that experience of what Jesus told me happened to me in the year 2009-2010. But I saw that was the word that started coming out of my mouth. So I started making that declaration. I started declaring it. Brahman of God were also declaring. As we started declaring it, the bullet could not go further than the first one they shot. Something. This is where this incident happened. Was actually a stone throw from the army checkpoint. A stone throw from the army checkpoint. So once we escaped, we came to the checkpoint. We saw the soldiers. Then we stopped. They saw the bullets, the gunshot, how it perforated the bonnet, and they saw the one that actually came against the windscreen. And so we explained to them what happened. We saw them entering their vehicles. We thought they were entering the vehicles just to zoom off immediately to take charge of the situation. Before they left that checkpoint, that was another story that must be told. Just staying in that checkpoint, leaving that place. That was before they left that place. Those armed men that they have already disappeared into the oblivion. And so, and why they were even trying to go, having wasted much time. The man of God who was driving opted and said, "Let us go with you." He said, "Okay, let me go with you. Let's show the scene of the incident." Then the report they gave us was another challenge. They said, "Don't worry, don't go with us." Then I started asking myself, "You are saying don't worry, we shouldn't go with you. Do you know actually the very juncture where it happened? So why do you ask us not to go with you?" And so, but something else happened. When that happened, because we are going for a program, we zoomed off. But we met another set of people on uniform. They were wearing white on top, I think black below. and they saw what happened. They said to us that there is this vigilante group of people. They said they are from Aguleri, and they've employed their services there, but that they went out on patrol now. And I said, okay. So we zoomed up. By the time we were coming back, we came to that checkpoint again and stopped, and still met the soldiers. They still recognized that they came and videoed everything again. Then one of the soldiers asked us what I call a silly question. He said, "This your car, does it have bulletproof? Why is it that the bullet did not enter and harm you?" That was what it implies. I look at him, my mother concluded, this silliness is obvious. So we left. But while we were coming back home now, we on the way we met this vigilante group. We saw their leader. We now explained to them. The man now said something. He said, "Were you the people that were attacked?" We said yes. He said they called us that some people were attacked at the place it happened. And he mentioned exactly around 11 a.m. We said yes, exactly. He said we came back to that place at that army checkpoint, and they asked the soldiers the simple question. They said, "Look at the report we got. Now that so and so thing happened, and we just came back. What actually happened?" The reply and the response became another serious matter that makes everybody there a suspect, even those who employ them. And they said to the vigilante people, nothing of such happened in the first place, and themselves were handicapped. So, but before we left, I was in the process trying to describe to them the dressing of those that shot us with AK-47, how they attacked us. And they made a striking revelation. They said, while we were in the bush, trying to comb the bush to see how we can take advantage, how we can put things in order, we saw people that resemble exactly the description you gave. They were sitting down in the forest discussing with the soldiers. And to me, it dawned on me that up to 90% of the security apparatus in Nigeria is compromised. But thank God we are alive to share the testimony, because actually something more than man took over the environment and gave us back our life. Because they were raining, it wasn't just shooting, the bullets were raining. But give us all the grace, because where iniquity abounds, grace abounded much more. So grace is stronger than the environment.
They didn't do well at all. They didn't do well, because I'm also a trained security personnel. So when we reported the matter to them, just like my brother, my friend has already said, they started asking us a question: "Do you have bulletproof in this your car?" And it took them up to 15 to 20 minutes before they decided to go there. Personally, I said, "Let me go with you so that I can show you the particular spot this thing happened." They said, "No, I should not bother."
Attesting to the goodness of God in the life of Reverend Godspower Anaso, his wife, and some other pastors who spoke to us were full of gratitude and appreciation to God for preserving the life of Reverend Godspower and his entourage. They also condemned the lackadaisical attitude of the security personnel in handling the incident when it was reported to them.
Anyway, having known what God has been doing in our ministry, I knew nothing will happen to him in the first place, because God has been doing it in Godspower ministry, that such things have been happening, and the God of Godspower has been delivering them. So when I heard it at the first time, I knew that is what will happen. That definitely God must surely defend and protect him. What I advise Christians is to go for grace. Then the members of the ministry, they knew it has been miracles unto them. It has been happening in that way. So they should hold on to their faith, hold on to their confession. They shouldn't go back. They shouldn't decline from their faith.
Actually, the story baffled me. It's a shock, it's a surprise.
When I heard it, I first heard it on Tuesday when we came for Ministers' Conference. I couldn't help myself crying. I cried and I wept. Up until now, I'm still weeping in my heart because it's something that is just more than man. I mean, it's just like somebody coming out of grave. It's just like somebody coming face to face with death. If not for God's intervention, if not for God's hands upon his servant and for God being faithful to his word, the story would have been a different thing. As a matter of fact, this can only be God. There is no other way anybody can explain it, that you are face to face with the bandits, with men, the killers, some stationed behind, some in the front, and they were shooting. And the bullet could not hurt anybody, could not destroy the car. It can only be God's intervention. So, I want to return all the glory to God who gave us such massive deliverance, because the story would have been a different thing. Remember actually that they were going for groundbreaking of Reverend Dr. Mobai's new prayer camp. The story would have been a different one. But look at what God has done to show his faithfulness, his supremacy, his dominion, his power and authority. So we return all the glory to him. Again, I want to say, please, I want to call on the government, both government at all levels. Something urgently has to be done. People are losing confidence. Our hearts are actually departing from the security structure of this nation. Nigeria is porous. There is no security in this nation.
Concerning the thing that just happened, I heard the story on Wednesday. That was yesterday. So when my spiritual father, Reverend Godspower Anaso, is my spiritual father, so also my mentor as well. When I broke down, it's not like we are new to this kind of activities around the state. We know about the insecurity that is currently now in Anambra State, and we know how, not just in Anambra State, in the country as well. What is most alarming is the fact that the people that are meant to protect us are the ones that are actually plotting with the people that are killing us. And it's a painful thing. It's not something to be proud of. It's something that I think the president, let me just use the word, the president have something to do about it. But I've come to an understanding we really need to, if we put our faith in the security system of this state or this country, all of us are going to die. In fact, we just have to put our faith in something greater than the security system of the state, as currently to this very moment as I'm speaking right now. So we just have to put our trust in God. That is the best thing we can do, because it's alarming. How do you imagine that those that are meant to protect us are the ones that are actually plotting our killing? In fact, I can't even think straight. Just trying to imagine it, that it's something else. But well, we thank God, because if there was no God, what would have happened? At least this would have been one of the stories that we've been seeing online on social media. It would just be one of that story. They would have just ended it like great. And I believe the soldiers would have been there to say that, yes, we came, but we came late. We saw what happened and everything. But now you find out that they were reported, they were told, and they claimed that nothing happened. In fact, we just thank God. We just thank God. That's the best we can say for now.
Some women in the ministry, including the woman leader, opined that a lot of persons have lost faith in the security system. Hence, there is a need for them to believe in something greater that can reinforce their faith and offer them protection when faced with a similar situation like that which Reverend Godspower Anaso survived from.
Indeed, we are so grateful to Papa Godspower for what he did for us. It is marvelous in our sight, and we want to return all the glory to his name for this single miracle he did for us and all the numerous ones he has been doing in this commission. In short, this commission is known for testimonies like this. We are actually grateful to God. We say, may his name and his name and his name alone be glorified in the name of Jesus.
The miracle that Papa Godspower did for our daddy is awesomely awesome. Papa Godspower did marvelously well to deliver our daddy from the hands of the Fulani herdsmen, and we are really grateful. We are thankful. We are saying, Papa Godspower Dalurine, Papa Godspower Dalurine, Papa Godspower Dalurine, for what you did for our daddy. Because you did it for our daddy, you did it for all of us in this ministry.
I was shocked when I heard it. But it's something that is quite common, unfortunately. It is very common in the South, not just in the South, all over the country. The state of insecurity is really alarming. It's really, really alarming. And to think that the military actually colludes with the terrorists to perpetrate such acts is really, really painful. I mean, it's totally unfortunate, it's tragic, but at the same time, I thank God because we really can't trust anybody these days. You can't even trust the military. But I really bless God because He saved his life, and we have to depend on God for that salvation.
The history of the security crisis plaguing the country at present have a long-standing root in intolerance and the belief that one tribe of people are better than the other, even though this should not be the case, seeing that the country is one entity. To curb the security challenges in the country, there is need to adopt the principle of live and let live, because doing so will make us be all the better for it.
When something happened, I didn't plan because one of us were not thinking about it. But something happened. As that thing was raining, boy, I saw a man up walk. AK-47 now walk. I'm going to have one also. I'm going to have one. I'm going to have one. You know, you know, light. Suddenly, all of us, well, what happened to me, I'll say my own experience and encounter. I was still thinking, what is so? It dawned on me that we're face to face with the underworld. And I'm ready to do anything because these men have no regard for life. Then I started shouting. Remember, I told you that God told me, if you see danger, you shout, Papa, Godspower. And we have testimonies of people who are exposed to bullets. They are sitting down here. Bullet has not touched any of them. But you see, there was something God specifically told me in 2009 and 2010 for my life, different from what I told you for all of us. In 2009, I was in a dream, and Jesus came to me in a dream and said to me, the days are getting dark. You know, when I told you about these days, I'm not just going to say the days are getting dark. In the dream, He showed me where men were shooting at me. But there was a war, there were statements I was making. In that dream, I was saying, I am Godspower, the chosen. I am Godspower, the one God has chosen. So they were raining bullets on me, but the bullet didn't enter my body in that dream. The thing was pouring on the ground. In the process of that encounter, I woke up. Then I heard the voice of God. He said to me, that thing you saw in the dream is specifically designed for your life. Anyway you see anything you cannot explain, I've given it for you. You're going to escape. It was after that encounter that God gave me what I gave you as Papa Godspower. And I started shouting. That was the only thing. He had me shouting. It was even that He told me that He ain't identity. I'm just for the this and that. He said, Himself was there. A real man, the strong heart. Other pastors were at the back. When the guy answered, one of them had got you go, they say, Jesus. But I started shouting. My name is Godspower. I am the chosen. Who are you? After that instruction that I received 2009, I was observing the bullets. It was raining. Why he himself was ready to kill somebody using this car. Because they were veterans, war veterans, they knew. And so the man moved by the side with the raining bullet. When he saw that the bullet and the rain wasn't touching us and the car, he now consciously, all of us observed, Obueria Kaya face the tire. Possibly the tire and maybe the fuel tank and the radiator and the battery. But when they carried hand and faced the radiator and the tire and was pumping bullets, no bullet ever touched the tire.